Hey, everybody, welcome to season 2 of Reels and Riddims, presented by Carry-On Friends in partnership with The Style and the Vibes and
But,
Breadfruit Media. You
but,
can,
but, 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 more fire, more fire.
yes, yes. And we are excited to kick off season 2 with the new Netflix series straight out of London City. Champions. And what we said, champions to the world, winners only. I am not going to try to rap like Bosco or Vita. So,
VR.
Vita. And we're not going to be mucking around.
Is it just me, or every time I watch something that is British, you start to think like, yeah, chatting that British, like in
In
it.
it.
I'm here in it,
Yeah.
with the
And
pun.
yeah. In it and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And we should also make a list
Calm, breath,
like
calm
dust, yo.
breath.
Like dust. Like,
I love it. I love the slang that they use in there, and
yeah,
it
like
just
bun them.
feels so yes.
Bun them. Bun that. Bun all y'all. I'm just like,
And like
yeah.
you said, we're gonna call her VR. We
Vita.
can't call her Vita.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No Vita. So all right, let's back up. I'm Kerry-Ann and this is Mikelah, and we are excited. If this is your first time listening, we are excited to have you joining us to talk about the things that we love on TV. So that's the reels and riddims, the concerts that we go occasionally. And so the whole point of this is just talking about the shows that we are enjoying, a lot of them with a Caribbean focus and some without. And Champions is fitting because everything about Champion is Champion, right? So Champion is based out of the UK. And it just reinforces my theory that the UK, Britain specifically, has just the best output of Caribbean focused content. We covered Small Acts. There are so many other shows that I've talked about in our respective podcasts that came out of the UK. Big up to the Windrush generation and the legacy that is we're now seeing in that creative output in series like Champion on Netflix. So what you have for some, Michaela?
No, I'm excited. I enjoyed the series, so I'm excited to kind of really talk um about it and see Wagwan. Share the people them the champion things Wagwan.
Yes. So the series is out. It's an 8-part series. At the time of this recorded, we've watched all the episodes. We probably go over like 3 episodes in of the series in this episode and then we'll continue. But the series is written by
Candace Carty Williams.
yes, Candice Carty-Williams of Queenie fame. That's a novel. That was her debut novel.
Which I'm
And
reading now. I started reading Queenie before I discovered Champion. So I hadn't seen any press or anything like that for Champion. So
I started reading it a couple years ago, but put pause on it to be honest, because it was hard for me to get into in the first couple chapters. But this is a series that she's written. As we are talking about Queenie, that's supposed to be adapted soon, so more Reels and Riddims content. But we're focusing on Champion, and Champion is around focused around the Champion family. Yes, Champion is really their last name. And so it opens with Bosco rapping as a little kid and Vita in the background. you know, Vita in the background trying to sing and Bosco push her down. And you could hear the parents in the background, come talk to your kids. And the father said, "Ah, she provoke him." that felt that. And that was a sign of things to come throughout the series. And so cut away from that flashback to present day. Bosco is the son and a rapper, and he is clearly going through some kind of anxiety before he hits the stage. Everyone's asking about him, and I'm like, all right, out the gate, we're having mental health issues that we're going to be addressing in the series. um I have my notes because there were some things in there. I think the series generally had me on an emotional roller coaster.
mhm.
Um, and I think out the gate, Bulla just get on my nerves. Like
Mm.
out the
My
gate.
name is Bula. But even going back to the opening scene where it's Vita and her brother Bosco as children, right? There's this old saying, Caribbean parents, women in particular, they raise their daughters and love their sons. And so, not to say that that applies, but it's a running theme culturally. And I think for a lot of uh, leading into the idea of a woman's role versus a man's role. But I think that that theme tends to play out, like you said, throughout the entire series. And as we quickly learn, um, I think Vita's parents have this idea of what her role is, and the people who are her peers around her see her differently, but her family just does not see her that way. And so she internalizes that, and she doesn't see herself the way that her friends and peers see her. So that for me was probably, I couldn't tell in that opening who was going to be the main character. And I think that they're both main characters. They're actually like dual main characters throughout the entire series. And you kind of see how their relationship progresses throughout the series.
I mean, that was the thing that I noticed, right? Like this idea of the daughter and everybody enabling Bosco. And Bosco is just the center of everybody's world and everything revolves around him. And how Vita as the sister shows up for everybody. And even that scene when he was like, I want to just dedicate this song to the person that's always had my back. And it cuts the Vita, and Vita thinks say she imago big up, and no in big up in mother. And I think that was really the sign of the tension and
Mhm.
the sibling rivalry that is the undercurrent of the entire show. And even in the early parts, Barry's champion and Arya, their influence in their kids' life, because even coming off the stage, Barry's was like, why am have Arya up on the stage? Like the criticism that he faced. So just as how we see that Vita is relegated to being supportive of the family, you can also see within that same view that Bosco isn't enough. Even though he's the center and everyone focuses on him, he's still not enough, especially for his father.
Yes, I agree. But yeah, it's such a interesting dynamic between all of them. And I really love how each episode is kind of like an onion. It kind of peels back a layer a little bit more, which the character development and the way that they chose to kind of, honestly, I didn't expect for it to escalate as quickly as it did, but I'm happy that it did, because by the end of the episode, they're kind of like, that's when they really become rivals in a sense. But I think Vita kind of feels like she's always been vying for the attention, and the validation, but I don't necessarily think that she was competing with her brother.
I don't think she was even vying for attention or like.
Recognition is what I mean.
No,
Like,
I don't even think that was the case. In a Vita, Ed Vita say, yo, me da do the work here. Me can do a better job of this job. And I want to do this job. She basically wants a promotion. And she didn't get that promotion. And that's really the litmus, the thing that just kind of blew everything up. She wasn't, like you said, she wasn't competing. And I use sibling rivalry loosely because she
yeah.
not compete with our brother, but it is a sibling rivalry theme.
Mhm, mhm.
She not compete with our brother, but she knows that she's doing more and she just has a title, and everyone can relate to be having one title and doing things way beyond your title and just want the recognition. And that's really what she wanted. She was well content supporting her big brother. Like she said, from Shaban, she know for life for him to everything for him. And she's good with that being her role. They have a close relationship, but it's not without its friction. And this friction is showing as she, because she, like the friend said, she quit whatever she was doing to be her brother's assistant. But as you saw how she handled the fallout of the police I come kick down the door, Arya said, stop pressing up on me, stop pressing up on me, back off, back off. I was just oh. So
Yo,
so
the way, the way, Arya. See, you brought it up. The way how she just turn up straight. She don't look the officer in her eye, She just look at him uniform and said, back up.
and then at the end she go, oh,
Oh,
like
yes, yes,
so
yes,
like just all the Jamaican goodies
yes,
that
yes.
we feel like, yes, yes, same way. So the escalation happens because, Vita feels like, yo, I'm doing this work. And what Donna do, right? We all can relate to would I do somebody else's job and the person who job it is not do nothing. By the way, throughout the whole series, Don ever they eat. Ever they suck past something I eat. Ever them yeah, I spit out seed, all of these things.
So Don is Bosco's manager, appointed by his father.
Yes, yes, and so we're still in episode 1, but we're gonna back up a little bit and focus on Bosco's 25th birthday party.
Hmm.
And at this party is where we meet most of the cast of characters that's important or central to the story. We meet Lennox, which is Arya, the mom's now living boyfriend of 6 years. We meet Honey, Vita's friend. We meet Mehmet, who is Bosco's friend, but Mehmet and Vita a deal pan the side. Them not tell Bosco yet. And then
And
you
his
have
DJ.
yeah, and Mehmet is Bosco's DJ and best friend from the Malaka Pitney. There's Teo and Femi. Teo is Vita's friend, who is queer, and her partner come to the party. And there's somebody else that I'm missing, Chanel, who is Bosco baby mother, who whose fiance is his rival manager. All of them they mix up there,
They
right?
quickly learn to mix. Like, this is all episode 1.
This is our episode 1, right? And the daughter, Bosco have a daughter with Chanel. By the way, side note, Chanel, the whole time I was like, yo, Chanel face look familiar. Chanel was in Riches
Yeah, she
as
was
one of the
the
sisters.
sisters.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
So these are all the people that we meet in episode 1. And they're
Mhm.
having a party. And we should also tell the audience that Bosco just come out of jail. It's not clear what Bosco going to jail for, but it sounds like he went in for possession. Possession of what? I'm not sure, but I don't think it was a violent crime. Maybe he had some paraphernalia on his
I
possessions.
don't know. I think throughout the series they kind of allude to some sort of. I thought it was a knife, but I could be mistaken. Like, I don't think it was drugs. I just think it. They didn't truly reveal why he went to prison, and it sounds like he was only there for a short stint, so maybe like
2 years.
2 years. Um, but he's again, when we open this, he's 25. He has a what perceived to be maybe a 6-year-old daughter. So, as the season progresses, and it doesn't really give anything away, you understand the connection between Chanel, Mehmet, and Bosco. They basically went to secondary school together, and they kind of grew up together, all of them together, and that's how. So he's known these people for a while. So as he was coming up, these are all the people that kind of grew up with him. And then he went away post having a baby, and coming back, built his career prior to going in, and then went in, um, and is coming out to his own fan base.
Okay, so we're still in episode 1. My God, a whole heap of things happening at the 45 minutes.
That yes, yes.
So
But
they're at the
I think that pretty much sums up, like, sets up the audience enough to kind of, like, really be interested in it.
yeah, so there the police comes and then that's where all hell breaks loose and it cascades to something else. So I really think that this episode was really good. Even from the onset of this episode backing up, we know that there is a heavy Jamaican influence. The flag them outside for the birthday party, inside the yard, the balloons, um, you know, the characters. They don't have to say it. They just are. Um, and even the cover art in Netflix, if you notice it, the hummingbird, the Dr. Bird, is part of the artwork in
Mhm,
Netflix. So it's an ode to the British Jamaicans and Jamaicans all around the world that can relate
mhm,
to the series.
mhm.
Are we still in episode 1 or 2?
Well, we gotta get to the end of how we transition. How to, the important transition around Vita and Bosco's relationship. Um from the first episode, we really learn how talented Vita really is. Um I think in the as it progressed, you kind of understand that she wrote a lot for Bosco. To what degree we don't really know, but it's kind of perceived that, she does a lot of the creative development for his sound and his writing. Like, but we also learn that Bosco is also talented too, because he's able to freestyle things that Vita
That's what I was about to say.
hadn't written. So it feels more like it was their relationship as writer and talent is more of like a co-production. So I envisioned it more, not that she was writing exclusively for Bosco, but she would come up with the hooks, maybe come up with the themes, and he would kind of add together, to the project. But of course, perception and reality and understanding the dynamic, from Vita's eyes, she's essentially writing for her brother without one, proper compensation, proper credit, and he's shitting on her for not making him his manager. um and so she feels a little slighted on the creative end, the business end, and she's the only one getting the short end of the stick. She clearly has talent because you can hear her singing and doing ad libs and helping him as he's progressing through a scene. But then she also has her own talent, and her best friend really pulls her into the studio with a rival, with Bulla. So Bulla is a rival rapper who they somehow have beef, and I don't know if it's because they've always had beef or because when Bosco, it sounds like when Bosco went in, Bulla kind of took a rise and was taking shots at him because he's the new guy on top, which is kind of normal. But Bosco kind of come and shut it down. Pamphim sure. And then we see how talented Bosco is. So I feel like I'm sharing a lot. So Kerry, more you jump in, yeah.
No man, you're good. So I was gonna agree with you. Like Bosco freestyle battle rap, no problem. And I think Vita is the one to craft the album focus hits that the label wants. And
Mhm,
so Vita is upset because she had the conversation and it seemed like Bosco was like, yeah, I'm gonna talk to the label. And so she was disappointed when they went to the label for the meeting and Bosco alluded to Dawn as the manager. And so, Honey, her friend, called her to go to the studio, as you said, with Bulla, and she's recording that. But even in that episode, like that's why some women say them not have woman friend because there is a rivalry that kick off in the studio between them.
mhm,
Right, this is a review show, so there are spoilers. Everything in here is just going to be spoilers. It's spoil. And they kick off in the studio because Honey felt like Vita was over singing her. And I was just like, my girl, like, you bring her in here. You knew. Like, I have friends and I just know that they're like me and them me talented, but me know say you have to be self-aware to know that they can be more talented than you. And she had to know that Vita was talented, and one argument kick off. But as they are recording in the studio, Mark comes into the studio. So remember, Mark is Bosco baby mother new fiance. And hear Vita singing and is just like, yo, I'll be your manager. You got a good voice. It is also where we get introduced to Laurent, who me swear say him and Popcorn are cousin. Because he kind of look like Popcorn.
I true. Lord, me never. Now me can't unsee it.
The whole time I say, why he could have look like Popcorn?
Ay, Lord God.
So we're introduced to them, and then we go back to the restaurant where she's talking to her brother. She's sharing with him. He says, I need this record. She shares with him a rhyme or a song that she's doing, and something in that lyrics triggers him where she's like, people ask where my head at. And that triggers him. He's like, I'm not saying that. And then that then blows up into a big squabble in the restaurant that their parents own. And that's where she throws down the gauntlet and say, all right, I'm performing with Bulla. I'm gonna be singing. And, you know, they accuse each other of whatever, and then them say, yo, it's champion versus champion. An episode done.
Yeah. And what we also forgot to kind of talk about is Bosco is kind of on the hook with the label. And he doesn't quite really know. You can tell that there's some friction there, like the way that the label wants to reintroduce him to the public is not in alignment with where he is. Additionally, it feels like he literally just got out of prison and he's already being forced back to work. And if you think about it, that's kind of like a mom giving birth to a baby and expected to go back to work the next day. So there is some that he hasn't really had time to, connect with his family, his daughter, his friends, get acclimated. He's literally from jail to the studio, it feels like. So and the pressure from the label is really there for him to start back working. And not only that, the pressure from his dad. And that's where you kind of start to like, well, why does he have to get back to, like I immediately thought that something was odd with the amount of pressure his dad was kind of putting on him. And to the mental health thing, the idea of something being slightly like off or wrong, I feel like that's been Bosco his whole life. So I don't think it was just the prison that he went to prison, but it feels like because his dad kind of just feels overbearing on him to be a champion, live up to the family name, get your head right, get in the game. Like he's like and it's a running theme with him and his dad. Whenever they interact, he's always pushing him to do more. We learned that there are ulterior motives behind that later, but it doesn't take away from the push that they're constantly. So it's part encouragement and then part pushing him, and it kind of like you understand why he's always on edge, and he takes it out on Vita all the time because she's the only person there.
And I also think that the father, yeah, you're right. So we discover throughout the series that this is some level of PTSD that he's experiencing. He may have had emotional and mental issues before prison, but definitely the 2 year stint kind of make it worse, basically. And so he now has like this full on anxiety and PTSD on top of that.
Hmm.
And Bearish Champion is the stereotypical. I feel like, I'm just gonna say that in this episode in season one, Barris Champion, played by Ray Farron, is our first nominee of the Reels and Riddims Viewers Choice Award for Best Actor.
True.
We don't even
He
get
did a
into
good job.
Barris.
Yes.
Like,
Barris needed his own episode.
Barris need a whole episode to break down his character. Like, the way Barris walk in. Oh,
You will always be a champion to
champion.
me. Like the way I'm having sweet lyrics,
No,
and the way
Barris,
I'm walk, the way I'm talk, and the way I'm just deliver everything. It's so on point.
Nico was watching. We say, what a man ignorant, not ignorant, ignorant.
Ignorant.
He's a charmer. He's a rebel, right? And him just I want a little trickster. You
Mhm,
know them people that were so
mhm.
them ever have a hustler go on, right? That's his energy, right? But he's able to, the way he uses his charm to navigate those things in a way. And so I want to get to Barris and Lennox in episode two, but I want to wrap up this episode because I thought we were going to cover more than one episode, but we have to cut it short. Overall, if you haven't already watched it, you really should watch Champions. It is a great series, and we're just talking our reactions from watching the series with you, what we see or what we're experiencing from the characters, but it doesn't really get into that emotion. I mean, Honey, the friend being whatever she was,
A
that's how I
little bad
can't deal
mind.
with. Yeah, yeah. Whatever she was in that is nothing compared to the emotional reaction that I begin to experience as more of Barris and Arya and Lennox comes in to the subsequent episode. So as we wrap up this one, and we promise for the other one, then with us, I go roll it in. I think because in episodes two and three we can probably combine them because there are certain things that, but I think this episode we're trying to set up a lot for the audience of the series,
Mhm.
and kind of lay the groundwork. So when we go in the subsequent episodes, we're not doing too much contextualizing who these characters are. So,
Watch it, come back and pre the rest of the episode then. Because yeah.
yes, and let us know what your thoughts are on the series. I'd love to hear. Join the conversation. And until next time,
Mhm.
later.
Bye.
Bye.